So growing spaghetti squash is fun, but sometimes it's really hard to know when to harvest them. So too soon and they can shrivel and mold, and too late and the frost can kill them. So there's 3 factors to know so you can get your spaghetti squash harvested at the right time so it will hold up in the fall and into the winter. So let's go over the 3 factors to deciding when to harvest your spaghetti squash. All right, number 1 is, the first factor is variety. What type of spaghetti squash is it? All right, if it's a late season squash, it can take up to 120 days to mature. The short season varieties can take up to 90 days to mature. So you want to keep track of the days that the squash has been growing in the garden and what variety that you planted. All right, number 2 is maturity. There's an easy test to do to see if the skin of the spaghetti squash has become hard and mature. So you want to take your thumb and you're going to push it into the flesh. And as you can see here, this one left a dent. So this spaghetti squash is not ripe and is not ready to come out of the garden. Now this one over here, if I take and I push my thumbnail in it, it just barely made any kind of mark at all. I can feel that the shell on this one is hard. So this one's mature and it's ready to harvest. So we could cut this off and take this one to the house. So the last factor to consider is frost. So the big question is when the frost is going to kill the vine. So sometimes we get a frost before the spaghetti squash are ready to harvest. So I'll start watching the 10-day forecast in early September, and if it's predicted to go below 32 degrees Fahrenheit and my spaghetti squash still have not passed the fingernail test, I'll just cover the vines with a frost blanket to get them through the night. Now I will use 2 1.5-ounce frost blankets over the spaghetti squash vines to protect them from the frost. So you want to be sure to remember to hold down the blankets with a few rocks, because usually the wind will come blowing in if it's going to get cold. And you also want to cover the frost blankets with a layer of plastic to keep it dry in case it rains or snows. So by covering the vines, it gives my spaghetti squash vines more time to mature the squash before I have to harvest them. So I'll watch the spaghetti squash closely and get them harvested before a hard frost if it goes below 25 degrees Fahrenheit. If it gets that cold, it'll damage the spaghetti squash even if they are mature. All right, so there's a link in the description below to get the same frost blankets that I like to use. So once harvested, I will cure the spaghetti squash by storing them in a warm, dry place for a week, and then they're ready to roast and eat. And they will also store in a warm, dry place for about 4 months. If I want to store them longer, I'll go ahead and roast them off, and then I will freeze the strands in a freezer container and have those for winter, spring, and summer eating.